We continue our CBS News series, Children of the Recession, with our print partner, USA Today. This morning, we take a look at a new and disturbing study. CBS News correspondent Michelle Miller reports on the impact the economy is having on teenage dating abuse.
I never would have thought that somebody that I listened to on the radio or a couple would go through the same thing.
18-year-old Whitley-Ann says she too experienced that pain at the hands of her ex-boyfriend.
Like, inside of my arm was just bruised, like, for days. And I had to lie to my mother. My mother didn't know. Nobody really knew because I didn't want people to not like him because I knew I was going to go back to him.
According to a study by Liz Claiborne and the Family Violence Prevention Fund, there is an increase in teen dating violence directly tied to the recession.
Families in economic distress are themselves experiencing higher rates of violence, and teens in those same households are also experiencing much higher rates of dating violence in their own relationships.
The study says nearly 1 in 3 teens report being victims of verbal, physical, or sexual abuse. Nearly 1 in 4 say they've been harassed via email or text messaging. And nearly half report being controlled, threatened, or pressured to do things against their will. That's what happened to Whitley-Ann.
He came to my house, and lucky thing my friend was over, because if she wasn't, I feel like he was going to kill me.
Like many victims in the study, Whitley-Ann says she was too scared to tell anyone close to her.
A lot of people don't know when they're in an abusive relationship, and they're in denial, like I was.
Free of her abuser for 6 months, Whitley-Ann will enter college this fall, where the aspiring performer hopes to start the next act of her life. For The Early Show, Michelle Miller, CBS News, New York.
Joining us now is our medical correspondent, Dr. Jennifer Ashton. Good morning.
Good morning, Julie.
You've got tips this morning for both teens and parents. Let's start with your tips for teens. You say number 1, talk to someone you feel close to.
Right, and this could be a teenage friend, it could be an adult, it could be a parent, a relative, or a guidance counselor. Express to them what's going on, what your concerns are, because if you don't tell anyone, you can't get help.
Is it the hope that that person will then have the courage to, like, tell police or urge you to do something about it?
Exactly, or do an intervention of sorts.
Okay, the next tip is also for teens. You say, don't get in a dangerous situation.
Right, this is so important. You have to anticipate what logistical situations could arise that could be actually compromising and dangerous to your health. So do not go anywhere alone. Don't go into the woods, into a car with someone, into someone's home where there's no one else around. That is key. You always have to prepare for a worst case scenario because it could be very dangerous.
But if that person is your boyfriend,
right, you just want to make sure that there are people around, especially if things are escalating and you think things are getting violent.
Got it. The next tip, also for teens, you tell them, don't blame yourself.
Right. You know what? People who are victims of domestic violence are victims. They didn't ask for it. It's not their fault. And that sense of blame can really add to the problem. And we see that in teens just as we do with adults.
Okay. Next tip is actually for parents. And you tell parents, look for warning signs. Like what?
Now, these can be subtle and tricky, Julie. They might be as simple as wearing different clothing. A lot of teens, just like adults who are abused or hurt, can wear clothing to conceal those bruises. So if it's warm weather and suddenly you're wearing sweatpants and long sleeve shirts, that might be a warning sign. Drastic change in behavior, someone who's normally happy and then starts crying all the time or withdraws from family and friends, those can be signs that something's going on.
Okay, and the last tip is for both teens and parents. You say they should keep the lines of communication open?
Right, so important. We need to stress to everyone here, starting at an early age, that the key to a healthy relationship is mutual respect. And we need to underscore here that although 85% of victims of domestic violence are women, the remaining 15% are men and boys, so let's not forget them as well. But explain to people that any relationship where there is violence and hurt and shame, whether it's emotional or physical, is not a healthy one.
It's wrong and it needs to be reported.
That's right, and we need to start educating our children about that before they get into those situations.
Dr. Jennifer Ashton, thanks so much.
Julie.